welcome to Speakeasy. Their brand new single, Maria, debuted at #1 on the UK charts, making them the only band in UK history to top the charts for 3 consecutive decades. That band, of course, is Blondie, and welcome to Chris Stein and Deborah Harry of the reunited Blondie, who are kicking up a whole lot of dust.
Dust, lots of dust.
Lots of dust, lots of
Cobwebs, dust.
It's pretty amazing, though, because I think when you debuted at #1, the person who was #1 before you was Cher.
Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough, no.
It's a pretty interesting phenomena that people who were huge in the 70s and early 80s are making a comeback.
I like that the best of all her songs. I like that better than the old stuff, though.
Believe.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Half-Breed and all that stuff. You know, just a personal taste.
You guys have always had a strong affinity with dance, and lots of your material has been remixed for dance. And certainly it's very popular with Maria right now.
There's no sin in this, getting dressed to kill, laughing down the sun like a jackal will, with his eyes ablaze and his lips apart. He's gonna fill his cup with the love in your heart and drink it up till the morning starts. Circulate the red light, let's just get the girls and get their sisters, pinch him up and give him blisters, kiss and pierce with all his might forever.
Standing on the verge of the edge of the land, waiting for me to fall. Then I got a call that said, wait, hold up, homie. You must be tripping. You can't be putting that sipping and whipping up in your pippin'.
One thing that people said, though, was, gosh, what's this Coolio connection? And I said, hey, don't you know that Rapture was the first rap song to ever top the charts in America? I think that was 1981, in which you name-checked Grandmaster Flash, and were very connected. So this is an old affiliation for you guys, isn't it?
Yes, yes it is.
And
Coolio, I met about 2 years ago on a show in Europe, and but our affiliation with rap really did start, I guess, in the 70s, didn't it?
yeah, the first stuff we ever saw was like '77, and you God from Wu-Tang told us that that was the first rap song he ever heard, which was really surprising.
Fat Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ spinning, I said, my, Flash is fast, Flash is cool, Francois, c'est pas, Flash ain't no do, and you don't stop, shoot a shot, go out to the parking lot, and you get in your car and drive real far, and you drive all night, and then you see a light, and it comes right down and lands on the ground, and out comes a man from Mars, and you try to run, but you got a gun, and he shoots you dead, and he eats your head, and then you're in the man from Mars, you go out and
I don't know, there's such a communication and a bond between the rappers, and, you know, it's sort of a very healthy kind of thing. I recognize essences of, you know, sort of the feeling that was going on at CBGB's in the rap community, you know, as a comparison.
It seems like that kind of essence, or at least what I perceive if he's describing that essence, only seems to be alive in rap and hip-hop today. A lot of the other music...
Oh yeah, no, white rock and roll has completely, not completely, but considerably lost its edge and mystery and danger, and everybody knows that. But in America, the racial element is what makes rap music dangerous and mysterious also, because there's still a lot of tremendous, the racial tension in America is still horrendously deep. People outside of America don't quite get that. But I don't know how long it's going to take before it gets lessened. But maybe it'll take something like a real street medium like rap becoming so powerful. So things like that are what help it along.
At any time when you're doing press or you're performing now, do you get overwhelmed by déjà vu, where you do some kind of time tunnel flashback and go, it's Heart of Glass and I was at Town Hall, or I was at any of the other venues that you're replaying again?
No, actually, that hasn't happened. I don't know why.
It's so different this time, because this is so it's really radically different. The way everything is, the way, what we're being subjected to, how we're being handled on a managerial side. Everything's like very different than what it was.
No time for deja vu.
Yeah.
No time.
It's pretty flat out. Is it? I mean, you try not to, I suppose, have too many projections about what it's going to be like because you don't want to get disappointed if it doesn't fly. But is it bigger than you anticipated?
Well, I think what happened in front, we knew going in that we were more part of people's consciousness, you know, because of, you know, the Blondie sort of music carried on, you know, lasted for, you know, quite a while. So no, going in, I sort of felt that we were, you know, more recognizable and considered legitimate. You know, we've been really sort of achieved some kind of real respectability in the music, in terms of just the music, and the chances that we took are really part of today's world. Back then, we were sort of almost considered a novelty band for the chances that we took and the things that we did and tried to do. And so now it sort of pays off in the long run.
I don't think we expected it to go this far past the hype. I mean, you know, I knew this was going to be a successful endeavor, but it seems to have gone way, way past just being hype and advertising, and people seem really sincere about, you know, all the stuff they're telling us we are, or they think we are. So,
Some of what they tell you what you are you surprised by?
Well, I don't know if I actually believe them. I mean, you know, I'm much more
pragmatic.
Yeah, I guess I'm more pragmatic.
I can see clearly now. I can go all the way. I can see clearly now that you're near me. Now that you're near me.
I know when they first approached you about the prospect of doing a new album, first it was just a couple of tracks, and then Chris kind of said, hey, this is working, let's go for an album.
Well, yeah, it was pretty unanimous all around. Our management had a lot to do with it, too. They knew, everybody sort of got the vibe of what should be done, really.
But one thing that they did ask, or at least reportedly, was, well, so how does Debbie look? Because that's something that we're considering as an important element. How do you react to that constant pressure on
really
your
pissed
appearance?
I'm not surprised, you know, and I'm not surprised about the people who asked that question. Disappointed, perhaps, you know, insulted, yes, but you know, it's business is business, and I understand, you know, what, you know, marketing is about and what my face really represents, you know, as far as sales go.
And then the thing we haven't come up with lately, actually, this has been like, you know, a few months of interviews ago. Lately, we haven't, the fact that Debbie has to compete with herself 20 years ago, you know, that was in the interviews like 4 months ago. It hasn't come up lately. You know?
Yeah.
But they didn't ask how Chris looked, or Clem.
No, but it surfaces, actually, you know.
Yeah.
It comes up.
It's, you know.
It gets there, though, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit.
It's all part of it.
When I was reading about the early days, and I guess to put it in perspective for people, CBGB's around 1975 was just still a biker bar.
Right.
And that's when television happened, and Talking Heads and Ramones, and at that point you guys were kind of a fraternity of everyone just exploring, etc. But did things change when people started signing deals? Did that camaraderie
sure, yeah.
turn into competition?
Yeah. There was always a sort of social competition, but yeah, it got much more ferocious. Yeah. But yeah, you did your homework. You know the story.
I tried to do my homework, but I don't know. There's a place when you're talking about the old days that can be really boring or it can be really engaging. I don't know what it's like for you.
It's just anything that you repeat endlessly gets boring. But the period there was on the heels of a depression in New York. The economy was way down. So the scene there existed for quite a while without getting any kind of outside attention. Now it's really hard for young kids to certainly maintain a band in any kind of urban environment because it's so damn expensive. So you can't live in New York. You know, you gotta pay, you know, $2,000 for an apartment. It's crazy.
If you're lucky, $2,000 for an apartment. I have friends living in New York. I just went to see them last week, and they just paid $1,250 for an apartment where their bathtub is in their kitchen, and when you sit down at the toilet, your knees hit the door.
So I don't see how you could have a band.
That is my old apartment. I paid $75 a month for that apartment. So, you're right.
Well, no, when I was a kid in the 60s, my friend's older sister had an apartment off 2nd Avenue on 12th Street for $24, which was a tub in the kitchen situation. It was like probably 64 or 5 or something like that.
Well, I remember reading about the Thompson Street apartment, and and then that weird 3-level place that you guys were living in with
In the Bowery, yeah.
in the Bowery with the strange, eclectic, artistic, whacked out,
There was a lot of
wild
whacked
guy.
out people there. He wasn't the only one.
At that time, what was the dream that kept you guys together? Because
I don't think there really was. I mean, I think everybody in the back of their mind, when they go on stage, thinks of themselves in some, whatever it is, in front of millions of people. But basically, it was really a kind of social situation, and it had a lot more to do with just lifestyle, going out, doing that, That's what we did. Everybody was in bands. That was the scene that linked everybody. And the side effects were kind of secondary, I think.
I met you in the restaurant. You could tell I was no debutante. You asked me what's my pleasure, a movie or a measure. I'll have a cup of tea and tell you of my dreaming. Dreaming is free. Dreaming is free.
you met me in a restaurant and you knew I was no debutante. Was part of your style evolved from what you weren't in those days?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's hard to pinpoint, I mean, it's just sort of every little step that you take sort of puts a little layer or dab of color on your, your ideas and your shape, and there eventually you sort of come out with, you make a few decisions and choices. I don't know, style has always been very important to me, and I always felt that the people that I admired, the singers that I really wanted to be like, or the artists that I wanted to be like, were, they were real stylists, and they really were things complete unto themselves.
I heard your mother, now she's going out the door. Did you go to work or just go to the store? All those things she said I told you to ignore. Oh, why can't we talk again? Oh, why can't we talk again? Oh, why can't we talk again? Living hanging on the telephone. Living hanging on the telephone.
When you finished being a Playboy bunny, which I think was only 9 months, you went to work as a waitress at Max's, Kansas City.
No, I was waitress at Max's before
Oh, yeah?
I was a bunny.
Oh, yeah?
And that was a great experience, actually, working at Max's. That was really fun. It was in the heyday. I mean, that was in the late 60s, and, every musician and band from the 60s came through there. It was right before, during, and after the Woodstock concert, the outdoor festival. And, all the actors would come through when they were in town, and it was fascinating, really.
Didn't you serve Jefferson Airplane their dinner before they
I
played
did.
the next day at Woodstock?
Yes, I did.
Were you starstruck?
Oh, absolutely. I was fascinated, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really a wonderful, wonderful experience to work there. I mean, it wasn't easy. I mean, I worked my little ass off, and but it was just an eye-opener for me. I mean, I just sort of would look at all these people and, sort of think, wow, how do they do it, and think that, well, maybe one day, and it sort of keep you alive,
What they love, and it was a gas. Soon turned out to be a pain in the ass. Seemed like the real thing, always is fun. Looking at past, lost found behind.
before that, I had been in a folk rock band, and I had done a couple of albums. One of them got released for Capitol, on Capitol, and but nothing ever came of that. And then immediately following that, I went to work as a bunny for a while.
Somewhere around this time, you hooked up and the Stilettos were formed, right?
1973, yeah.
You described it in those days as having instant chemistry with this man over here, Chris Stein, when you were he was watching you in the audience and you couldn't really even see him. I'm referring to the book you wrote, and yet you knew there was some kind of chemistry. And I know in Rapture you see that too, in the video of Rapture, where you dance with a few people, but when you connect, you have this chemistry. Obviously, it's endured through all kinds of changes in your configuration, being partners, not partners, working in a band, not working in a band. What is it?
It has to do with my theory of time being a totality, not a series of steps, whereby we were attracted to each other because of all the things that we went through later. Okay?
This, you know, you guys are, I know, very interested in non-linear thought. And that would be an Edward de Bono kind of way of looking
I guess.
at things. But in terms of chemistry, you didn't have it with everybody in the band because some of them still aren't there.
To this day.
Aren't back. What is important in terms of the chemistry? What do you look for in terms of collaborative chemistry to make music?
Good question.
Oh, I guess people that aren't so, you know, inflexible. I think flexible people are the kind of people that are the best to work with, you know, that are, you know, sort of free to accept ideas and empowered by other people's, you know, contribution to, you know, a project, you know, not frightened of that. You know, I think that those are important qualities for collaboration.
Yeah, for life.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the early days and some of the differences between how Europe embraced your music at first and the U.S. was just not catching on. When we get back, right after this break, stay with us. And will someone get that phone, please?
I thought that was a
An uneven career, but in an odd way, have maintained sort of this, you know, really devoted following, which is wonderful.
Why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose that is?
I don't know. I'm lucky. I'm just really lucky.
Welcome back to Speakeasy and our conversation with Blondie, that being today Chris Stein and Deborah Harry. So what is the lineup now? Who is the lineup?
We have the 4 original members, Chris Stein, Jimmy Destry, Clem Burke, myself, and we have Lee Fox playing bass and Paul Carbonara on guitar.
I said we were going to talk about the early days, and I seem to remember that Clem Burke was the one who really kicked your ass in the early days when things were kind of going like, well, what's next for us? Is that true, or is that one of history revisiting or revising itself?
There are elements of truth to it. Clem has always been keen on being what he is today.
Yeah.
So in that respect, he's always seen his road, you know. I think Debbie and me, you know, could have gone in a lot of different directions, probably.
Well, oddly enough, when Clem started playing with us, we had been working with Fred Smith, and we had worked with Fred for well over a year, maybe 2 years, and then suddenly Fred left. We did one show with Fred and Clem, and right before we went on, Fred announced that he was leaving to join television. So at that point, you know,
You
Chris
can't
and I
blame
was
that on Clem, though.
No, but I mean, at that point was when Clem said, oh, well, you know, we should continue on, because I mean,
Yeah.
because he had just started.
But it was
and
depressing.
we were just sort of like, oh my God, it's too much. Yeah.
In those days, was the dream associated with any kind of movement, or was it just making music? Because, you know, in hindsight, people are like, well, it was punk. It wasn't punk. It was
really,
not
it
punk.
was social. It was what you did. You went out to this club. Recently, Clem and me were discussing how we had no idea what Saturday Night Live was because we were always out on Saturday night.
Yeah, for
That's
years.
true. And that it's just what you did. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot better than whatever a lot of alternatives might have been. To me, it was directly related to the 60s, you know, what went on in the 60s and the hippie stuff. There is a thread that runs through the Dolls and the Stones and all these things to CBGBs, and maybe it's cut off someplace after that, but to me, there's a continuity.
First band too to do something reggae, like The Tide Is High, and to throw that in.
Reggae music had always been around. There was, you know, like Desmond Decker and Johnny Nash, is that, you know, that thing.
Yeah.
But that stuff really wasn't titled. There's stuff on the first Dr. John album that reminds me of reggae, you know, and that goes like back to '67. But the first reggae I ran into was in England right before I met Debbie in '73. I heard the first real reggae music, and it's just, you know, it's just really exciting. Again, reggae music is like rap music. It's about like destructivist art forms where you take something apart and put it back together. The reggae musicians were chopping up rock and roll, you know, white rock and roll, and sort of reforming it into this other form.
The tide is high, but I'm holding on. I'm gonna be your number one. I'm not the kind of girl who gives up just like that. Oh no, it's not the things you do that tease and hurt me bad, but it's the way you do the things you do to me. I'm not the kind of girl who gives up just like that. Oh no.
I remember myself of going, hey, wow, there's this cool woman and she's in front and like she's got this attitude and she's got this. It was very emancipating for a lot of young women at the time to see somebody who was very beautiful, and this is a compliment, still are very beautiful, but used your brain and your comedic ability and your attitude, and the beauty was just something that was, I imagine from a marketing point of view, was always primary, but seemed secondary to you. Am I right about any of that?
Yeah, you know, I care about how I look, and, you know, I think for when I was younger, I never really thought that I was pretty. You know, I sort of thought that I was too weird looking. You know, and as I sort of got into my 20s, you know, I started to really think that I was pretty. But my mother always told me, you know, not to rely on my looks. And, you know, I guess it's just sort of, she drummed it into me, and it's just in there, you know, and I guess I'm lucky for that.
Yeah. And I think something that a lot of people don't recognize is that you were in your 30s when Blondie took off, right?
Yeah, I think we started working together when I was like 27.
It was like 27, 28 when we met, yeah. But I think Debbie's attitude has a lot to do with it, because I always thought Janis Joplin was really beautiful. From a guy's point of view, I always thought she was strikingly beautiful.
Is just conducive to addictions, period, just because it asks more of human beings than...
If it's the road or just show business and dealing with, you know, the type of people you deal with. It's probably just more the disillusionment, disappointment, and being squeezed that, you know, what makes one wants to numb themselves out, you know. For me, it was being totally disillusioned by all this stuff the first time, you know, we started having all these lawsuits and stuff, and I talked to the president of Chrysalis, Terry Ellis, and said, you know, this isn't fair. And he said, well, you know, fair has nothing to do with it. This is the music business, you know. So that's kind of disgusting when you hear that for the first time. Yeah, so.
And yet you still say that you have to have a certain amount of optimism to be in the music business.
I'm just an optimistic person about everything. That's got nothing to do with music business.
But, you know, there have been many optimists who've been crushed by the reality of things like the music business. So, I mean, it's not everyone can keep their optimism alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm optimistic about being crushed. There's good crushing, bad crushing, you know.
Is there anything crushing about this experience this time around? Or has perspective and the inevitable wisdom that comes from age helped you?
We're waiting for the thing to drop, is that it?
Yeah,
The shoe?
maybe.
Yeah. The shoe to
The
drop?
shoe, right,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think, you know, we have learned a lot, and I'm, you know, I don't know, we're just, I guess if the other shoe does drop, we'll know pretty soon. But I think we have a good relationship with our team, you know, our
I
business
think
people.
having all the stuff happen to us that happened, I'd be hard pressed to say what would really make me disappointed at this point. I mean, there's a lot of disappointments, but nothing's going to really throw me for a loop now. I mean, with all, you know, everything in Spinal Tap happened to us at one point or another, you know.
I think that most people were, you know, took the attitude or had the opinion that Blondie couldn't make a decent record, and we couldn't get a record deal, and you know, the satisfaction in coming out and doing a really great record is enough, really. I mean, really, it's great. I was just like, well, okay, you know, it's just, there it is.
What's it like for you performing again? Did you miss it?
I haven't stopped. I've been performing all along.
I know with the jazz passengers and some of the other stuff that you've done, but did you miss this, doing Blondie?
No, I didn't. I was pretty much, you know, involved. I did my solo projects, and then I sort of took a little break from that, and then I fell into the jazz thing quite by accident, and was very fortunate in that. It was a great experience, and you know, improved as a musician for that experience. So here we go. Back to Blondie.
How's that affecting your relationship with them? Because on the first album, you just sang on one track, and on the second album, you were the vocalist for them. So how did those commitments work now? Are you still involved with them?
They figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'll always be involved with them. It's sort of like, you know, an ongoing thing. You know, I have relationships with different musicians, you know, and you know, maybe I'll sing on something that they do, or, you know, perform with them at some point. Right now I'm concentrating on Blondie. I think that's a lot of work, and this is very close to my heart and to my psyche. I mean, this is much more representative of me, and that was a real adventure and an exploration for me and a learning experience. Perhaps, you know, as I get older, you know, that would become, you know, might be more of a direction that I would include, you know, somehow to incorporate more, you know, in what I actually do as a rock musician. I don't know.
It may look like a kiss, call it a kiss, this imitation of love, just an imitation of romance. Gestures and demands, you get aggressive.
When you talk about the domination of the image today, you were actually at the vanguard of videos, you know, when everything changed, when...
What-y-who's?
Video.
The videos.
Video.
You know, when video killed the
Videos.
radio star,
Yeah.
remember?
Yes. Oh, God.
Videos are a drag. I really don't like videos. You know, even much as we have to do with it, I just don't like having somebody else tell me what I should be seeing when I'm listening to music. You know, like having my own personal images. You know, I hear a Stone song, and I think what I was doing and who I was with, whatever, when I heard it for the first time or whatever, or the period or something like that. And I hear that Nirvana song, and all I can think of is the cheerleaders, you know, and so.
Well, it's a sort of it's less of a living experience when you're watching, you know, somebody else's idea about it, you know. It's not as physical. I think that if you're out, you know, partying or walking around and hearing this music, having this song in your head, you know, that really is much stronger, you know, personal event.
Videos and plus with videos are commercials, you know, and they're an afterthought. They're always an afterthought.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about the videos and some of what has happened with songs that I remember as great videos. Again, you know, that thing about I remember the song as a great video. They were great songs too, but some of what they've become, everything from Taxman theme song to commercials for who else? What is Atomic for now? Coca-Cola's World Cup commercial.
I saw Iggy has, what the hell was that Iggy song that was on a
Oh, he's done a lot. There's been a lot of
Yeah, there's just one recently that was funny. Chairman of the Board. You know, that song, I'm the chairman of the board, you know, and that's in there someplace. I just saw that.
We'll talk more about that when we take this break. Stick with us.
Among this class, you are called the forgotten man.
Is that what they're saying? Or did you ever? What a swell party this is.
Welcome back to Speakeasy and our conversation with Chris Stein and Deborah Harry from Blondie. Do you prefer Deborah or Debbie?
I actually prefer Deborah now, but I get called everything, so I respond. Woof, woof.
You mean me? I wrote down a little list of some of what's happened with some of the songs. Atomic, Coca-Cola's World Cup commercial. And there's something else. I don't remember.
Atomic was great because when we got to Paris and we played, and because they won, you know, with big upset over Brazil. Those Brazilians probably never even got to go home. They probably just stayed in France and killed themselves or something. And when we got there and played the song, they just went completely ape because they associated it with winning, you know.
Yes.
So that was a moment, actually.
I'll make it magnificent tonight.
And one way or another, a theme song for the Taxman.
Yeah, that was the most awful thing.
Yeah. That's
the
what
New Jersey.
Yeah, that was
I was dying from that. Nobody ever consulted me or anything.
Plus
They just
we've
licensed the thing away.
Plus, we've both been in horrendous tax holes. I've been I've just I'm so under from taxes. I haven't had a credit card or a checking account for the last 16 years also, you know. So.
Yeah, it's really strange world.
One way or another, I wanna find you. I wanna get you one way.
The idea that the tax people, the IRS of the United States, would be using a Blondie tune, I'm gonna get you.
No, it was the state of New Jersey, and they declared an amnesty on personal income tax from the state of New Jersey, and but they used this song, I'm gonna get you. For this amnesty thing, you know, and I swear I'm innocent. I had nothing to do with this, and you know, and not only that, but I mean, actually, I had they were, you know, I could have sued them. They were liable for that. No, the record company, not state of New Jersey. No,
I'm taking on the state of New Jersey.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, the chemical companies are there. You don't want to take on that state, for sure.
Actually, that song's been used for a lot of sports stuff. I've seen the Yankees in training with "Get You" in the background. Hearing that.
How does that feel to be an inextricable part of what has become American identity in the last 30 years? That your songs have become the soundtrack to so many people's experiences.
Blondie. Debbie always said that Blondie was just the word Blondie was a part of Americana. And that was one of the reasons she liked the name, you know, so.
Dagwood and Blondie?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it just happens to be, you know, there. It's something that exists already. It's, you know, unavoidable.
Hey Blondie, I mean, that's in
It's in all the movies,
It's in a lot
the
of
old
Clint
movies and
Eastwood in
everything.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Doesn't you know, the one character they keep referring to him as Blondie? I think.
Blondie, yeah.
It's the only time a guy was ever referred to as you know, the hair color. It's been my thing, is the reductionist aspect of hair color. It's go, hey, did you see the hot redhead or the hot blonde? They almost never mean a man.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
It's always a woman.
Yep.
Evil empire, yes, yes.
You'll have to change that.
We're trying our best. French has always been something that comes up in your early songs from Denis, and alluding to French. Is it because Paris? They laugh. They laugh.
Well, you know, it's like, I'm not going to go there. Never
Go
mind.
there. Go there. Go on.
Go ahead.
It's like Greek, French, you know.
No one has a love affair with French or Paris, or was it just it sounded right?
I used to think that it was so beautiful, and I wanted to try to sing it. And Denise actually worked really well for Europe in French, you know.
And then coincidentally, when we got there, we found out that Frankie Alamo, who's a
Frank Alamo, yeah.
Frank Alamo, or whatever his name is, had a version of the Denise, which was similar, and we didn't even know about it until after it had been done.
But he changed it to Sylvie because he was,
Sylvie Vartan.
Sylvie Vartan were, they were a big couple.
When you smile, it's like a dream. And I'm so lucky 'cause I found a boy like you. Denis, avec tes yeux si bleus. Denis, quand j'ai flashé nos deux. Denis, on va m'appeler de
This book, which I used as a reference to read about the early years.
Except the book is a whitewash.
It's a bit of a too much of a
It's
clean
it's
sweep.
a fan book, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say it's.
There's nothing bad in there. Everything is like, oh, how glowing and great everything is. You know, I like it. That's all my pictures, and it's a good book. You know.
We wanted to do a book of Chris's photography.
That's why I'm going to hand it over there and do it like a Rorschach thing. Just open it and see if it stimulates some memories.
All the pictures have stories. Every single one of them.
Well, we can't do that, but let's just do it like
There's
the
a lot
Rorschach
there's a
thing
lot of
and
dead
see.
people here. There's lots and lots of dead people here. Here's this Steve-O. This is in our place. This is in the hallway of our apartment that burned down.
On 17th
Street. And when we were on tour in San Francisco, my mother called up and said, well, don't get upset or anything, but your house burned down, you know. So,
But your cats live.
the cats survived the fire. And Devo, I mean, forget it, talk about seminal, influential, another thing we've been coming to recently is that some of the most influential bands in rock and roll really never made it, the Dolls, Devo, the Ramones, even, the Stooges kind of, never rose above a certain point,
Give us another little Rorschach.
Well, this is Debbie in the backseat of a car, and she's got on a pillowcase which is surrounded with red gaffer's tape, and we did a really great bunch of photos for the second album, for the Plastic Letters cover, which the record company rejected as being too punk at the time. And the poor and eventually I'll get those out. For some reason we still have the slides. They should be a poster or something like that. But the poor photographer was flown to New York, exhausted, and we wound up doing what came out as the cover, which was not up to the standard of this bunch of stuff here. What else is in? Just a lot,
Yeah, just one or two more. I think it's really interesting because pictures again.
This is
John Waters and
Tab Hunter, and I worked on
at
this.
the
And Bill
soundtrack.
Murray, and I worked on the soundtrack for Polyester, the one.
Oh, yes.
And there's like a sort of schlocky scene where Divine is running through the flowers to Tab Hunter. So I remember I had seen Bill Murray doing this sort of schlocky nightclub routine that he does, he's Star Wars and all that crap. And I suggested he do the vocal over this, and John got all upset and said, no, but then I'll be known as having the guy from Saturday Night Live in my movie. And then over on the other page is Niall and Bernard Bernard just died, I don't know.
Suddenly, yeah.
Yes, of a heart attack, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Chic, was like so ahead of their time. They were like, the 90s, when we talk about our record, people ask what the difference is between the sound now, if there's a difference, and the main difference is that it's very minimal now. The old record's very dense, wall of sound, and that's due to the rap movement. And, you know, the 90s stuff is very stripped down, and these guys were doing that way back. Their instrumental tracks were, you know, simpler.
Well, that's enough of that.
That's enough of that.
Here comes the 21st century. It's gonna be much better for a girl like me. 'Cause I want everything I can. Most of all, I want that man. I want that man. I want that man. I want that man.
I want that man. Here comes the 21st century, and it's going to be better for you and me. What do you think about, what are we, 10 months away? 9 months away to the 21st century?
I see a lot of hope in the young people, in the teenagers and 20-year-olds, whereas most of the people who are in their 30s have completely sold out. I think the younger kids are kind of cognizant of the hypocrisy around them and hopefully have a little more vitality. And my hope is that things will get back to the sort of communal aspects of the 60s.
What do you think, Debbie?
Well, I think that with modern communication, you know, and the world being so sort of exposed, we're all exposed to one another, that there's a lot less chance for people to grow up in an atmosphere of you know, fanatical religious belief, which I find extremely frightening and threatening. So, you know, I would hope that, you know, us knowing each other better would eliminate some of that. And, you know, that's, you know, sort of like, you know, what my biggest wish would be. I don't know, you know, if that's in actual reality, but we have I guess we stand a better chance of that through, you know, computer communications.
One would hope that that kind of communication would breed tolerance and foster tolerance for one another. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the collaborations and other things that you've been involved in, from photography to acting, and we'll do that right after we take this break. Stay with us on Speakeasy.
Not ready for this world, huh? Mom and Pa must treat her like a goddamn little princess. Whoa.
Can't you be nicer to her?
Nice. Did you hear what she said to me?
Welcome back to Speakeasy and our conversation with Blondie, that being Stein and Deborah Harry. Some of the things that you've done in the past few years have been great creative expressions of the acting side of you. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of Heavy, and what was the other one? So Many Days to Sunday. What's the other?
6 Ways to Sunday.
6 Ways to Sunday.
Yeah.
Did you always want to do acting? I mean, certainly there's always an acting component to being in video, to a certain element, but that's still you being yourself. When you're acting and letting another character come through you, that's quite different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I always did. I always, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a movie star, mm-hmm. which is, you know, much different than being an actor, but
there's plenty of both out there.
There's plenty of both out there. And,
did it shift from being a movie star to wanting to be an actor?
Yeah, you know, I got lucky again, you know. I just sort of fell into these little situations and, you know, got to work it out.
What about you? What are some of the other things that you've been doing?
Not a hell of a lot. That stuff, Debbie solo stuff. We've done all these little weird things, one-off things. Not that much. Mostly it was, you know, trying to figure out why I did drugs for all those years. Going to a psychiatrist. You know.
Did you get any little pearls of wisdom, those little
Sure.
insights?
Yeah, that helps, yes. A lot of stuff. Yeah.
Any ones you can name check or drop?
Just that I used to think I knew anything, and now I don't think I know anything.
Ah, yes, that is the greatest, most sage wisdom of growing older, is when you
Probably,
don't
yeah.
have a clue and you can admit it.
Now I know that you don't know, and I see that you don't see. I care, and I don't care. I don't care that you don't know.
What's going on with you in terms of other creative directions? Is there anything that you have time to focus on right now, or is it just doing the do?
Well, I've been working on this pretty steadily for the past couple years. I do have, I do actually have a couple of dates coming up with the Jazz Passengers that were booked over a year ago. Those are, sort of for those subscription kind of things at museums. So I am going to be doing that. But mostly I'm working on the Blondie project now. And I think we're going to, once we finish our promo, which is probably about a week away, we're going to take some time off, and then we're going to put together the show that we're going to take out for the spring and summer, or late spring.
Debbie, how do you feel about when people make an issue about women and aging? Is that anything that you have any issues around, or any comments about, that you just are tired of it? Because I always say that, women are looked at sometimes by the popular media as having a best before date stamped on their head, like a carton of milk.
Yeah.
Whereas guys don't seem to have to endure that kind of scrutiny or that kind of evaluation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very ancient tradition, I think that once women have children, that it's really, it's very difficult to bear children, and I think that that really ages women in a way that is very frightening for men, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
Except like in China, like the first wife, the oldest wife was always the heavy.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yes and no. I mean, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. I mean, it depended on how savvy she was. I mean, it's all politics. That's real Machiavelli, Shakespearean, that whole
It's a
thing.
misnomer talking about having more than one wife anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wonder if you think that maybe the kind of thing that you're doing now in the music charts and that Cher is doing now can maybe bust up some of that thinking and make people reevaluate it.
Clem keeps saying, rock and roll is middle-aged, so why not middle-aged, rock and rollers, whatever, So my big question is Keith going to be doing it at age, 68 or whatever, will he still be up there,
Will you?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's just really personal. I think that, Dick Clark said it, that, rock and roll is the longest single form of music to last ever in civilization, modern civilization. That, this is the kind of, this music is well over, 30 or 40 years old now. And there's really no period of music or culture that has lasted that long. So, I mean, the rules are to be written, and that's always a good position to be in.
And plus we all, emulate, B.B. King and all these other guys, there's enough of them out there.
Yeah, and Gladys Knight, Tina Turner,
Maybe, there is a racial aspect to that. Maybe it'll flip-flop, though. I wonder if we're going to be the elder statesmen for the young rap kids. I don't know.
I mean, it's also, age, I think, is a frightening concept. I mean, where do you go after that? I mean, so I don't know. Maybe it's a cool thing to sort of keep it together and to sort of like hold on to some kind of essence of your youth, and to take that with you. I don't know. Why not?
Why not, indeed? Well, I think it's a cool thing, and I wish you every success with this record. I hope you have a lot of fun on the road. And yeah. And is there an old video that we might want to close with that you think is something that you're proud of from?
Well, you probably don't have it, though.
What one?
You should get one of the Giger ones.
Yeah, from the Cuckoo album.
Cuckoo. You probably don't have them, though.
I don't know if we do or we don't.
Nobody has them.
They're around, but I don't know where the hell you get it.
They might actually have them.
What? Give me a title.
It's Now I Know You Know.
Now I Know You Know.
And Backfired.
Backfired,
Yeah.
right.
Don't think we have
Those are from
those.
Debbie's first solo record.
We might have to go with just one of those regular releases.
Yeah, just figure yourself.
Okay. Again, all the best, Blondie.
Thanks.
Thank
Okay.
you.